Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the disaster management series that we are running exclusively for Lok Sabha television. Today we will be talking about capacity building, training and community involvement. I'm your host Lottie Alaric. To tell us more on the issue, I have in the studio a distinguished panel of guests. I'm very happy to welcome Shri Vinod Kumar Duggal, who's the Honorable Member of the National Disaster Management Authority. I welcome you to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Sitting next to him is Dr. P.M. Nair, who's the Director General with the National Disaster Response Force. I welcome you too.
Thank you.
And we are also joined by Dr. Satyendra, Executive Director, National Institute of Disaster Management. I welcome you too to the show. Well, let's begin with you, Mr. Duggal. Now, for anything to be a success, especially national programs, there are policies that are required to be made. And I'm sure NDM is doing a great job at that. So would you like to enlighten the public as to what is your exact role?
You see, capacity building is a very complex exercise in the overall structure of disaster management. Now, the government was very conscious when they brought this act in 2005, which is called the Disaster Management Act, to prepare the country as a whole, to make the society resilient, right from A to Z. Early warning, preparedness, mitigation, response, capacity building, public awareness, every hue and shade of disaster management is under the Act.
Right.
In that, there are one of the key things, as I said, because capacity building, it is involved in every sphere of activity. If it is response, you have to build the capacity. If it is the early warning system, you have to build the capacity. If you have to prepare the states or the societies, you have to build the capacity towards that. So, towards this, there is a whole lot of exercise that goes on. Two significant components of that exercise are, one is the research component as to what all capacity is supposed to be developed, and that is handled by the National Institute of Disaster Management, which is constituted under Section 6 and 42 of the DM Act. And the other important thing is the response in case the disaster has happened, so to prepare the communities as to how to respond to a particular disaster. And for that, we have the world's single largest force in National Disaster Response Force. We already have 10 battalions and hopefully 2 will get added soon, which is constituted under Section 44 of the Act. Now, their role primarily, it is to train every part of the society, government officers, stakeholders, communities, because we have the system is flowing downward. There is a National Disaster Management Authority, then there are state and district disaster management authorities. So, at each level, they play a role in training the people. I will take just 1 minute more. And important it is that besides these two institutions, there are several national institutions, such as the Lal Bahadur Shastri of Administration in Mussoorie, such as the Sardar Patel National Police Academy in Hyderabad, such as the Indian Red Cross Society. Several bodies, they run similar capacity building programs. I will not say that we have reached there,
right,
but the effort is to reach there.
Absolutely, and I think we are all there, and we are seeing those efforts that are being made by the NDMA. So, taking on from what he just said, Dr. Satyendra, would you like to tell us the kind of research that really goes into making these programs a success?
National Institute of Disaster Management is basically mandated for capacity building in the field of disaster management, and we are developing policies and formulations for capacity building in various aspects of disaster management. At national level, we have National Institute of Disaster Management, and similarly at state level, we have 30 centers. They are basically located at administrative training institutions and other institutions at state level. So, our main agenda is developing modules to standardize the training programs. So, we develop modules for various trainings. Then we develop master trainers who can further disseminate this knowledge at state level and other levels. So we conduct around 70 to 80 training programs in campus, off campus. Then side by side, because for community awareness is very, very important. So we are developing some awareness material which are further disseminated through our various stakeholders at state level, and National Disaster Response Force is also playing a very important role because they are dealing with the community. So all these materials which they are standard material which we develop and which can be used and are being used by various stakeholders. Then side by side we are developing human resource plan also. Human resource development plan for disaster risk reductions, and we are supporting state governments and other stakeholders for carrying out their capacity building activities for disaster risk reductions. So these are the basic mandate.
Right. Now, Dr. Nair, I'm sure you'll agree with me that any number of policies or any number of awareness programs, they cannot succeed unless they are implemented rightly in the correct manner and at the grassroots level. And that, I believe, is your area. As you also said, that one of the most important parts, significant parts you are in giving us those results. So would you like to tell us about that a little bit?
As the honorable member mentioned, we have 10 battalions of NDRF today. 2 more should be added in a month or so. These battalions are specialized in various aspects of disaster response, mitigation, risk reduction and capacity building. While we enhance our capability, our own professional capability, we also do an outreach program. As the honorable member mentioned and Mr. Satyendra mentioned about the tools, it's a confluence of all this.
Correct.
What we do is the villager at the ground, the person, the woman, the child, we make them aware as to what they should do to prevent, mitigate and reduce risk in case of any disaster. See, hazards can happen. Hazards should not be turned into a disaster.
Right.
So we intervene at that point where empower them, bring their capacity to see that the disasters do not take place. Hazards can come, you take care of yourself and others too. Each one is as a honorable member mentioned, it's a stakeholder. We enhance their capability to make them a duty holder.
Right.
Stakeholder to a duty holder. Each one should feel, yes, it's my duty to do that. We want to have a nation which is disaster resilient. Why not do that? So our mission is to get onto that job and go to do a massive outreach program. The last year, 2012, we have trained almost 12 lakh population have benefited by the programs we have. I wouldn't say all trained, but they have benefited in various ways than one. School children, amazing number of children. The stakeholders or duty holders, around 44 types of people are there. Family, school children, NCC, Nehru Yuvak Kendra, doctors, engineers, corporate sector, and you mention anybody. So we try and reach out to them and give them orientation as to what all the disasters which is possible in that area, likely, and then how they can respond to each situation, how they can reduce the risk, and also how they can mitigate sufferings of theirs and others.
Right. Now, Mr. Duggal, would you like to tell us a little bit about the disaster management preparedness that really goes, which is one of the major roles of the NDMA?
Yes, it's like this. First of all, I think let me just mention 2 important aspects which haven't come out so far. That the capacity development has to be so built that it can be implemented before, hopefully.
Right.
That is part of the preparedness, as you have asked a question about preparedness. That in many cases, there are some disasters which are unpredictable, like earthquake is totally unpredictable. But some disasters which are kind of seasonal, there is a general predictability. With the climate change, it may not so happen,
right?
Climate change situation, but this is the monsoon season, which are the flood prone areas.
Right.
This is the heavy monsoon season, so where the urban flooding is. This is the cyclone season, so where the cyclones are likely to affect and which areas are more vulnerable, or landslides for that matter. So you can do a fair amount of preparedness before they actually do that.
Preventive measures.
Preventive measures you can do. So fair amount of preparedness you can do through this capacity building. But you also have to build the capacity for during the disaster. And likewise, post the disaster. What Dr. Nair said, I think is very important. Although we have 10 battalions and soon to be 12, it is not that you are facing the rescue and response and rescue and relief operation through the year. You see, disasters come unannounced. So you have to gear up and do kind of this thing. So in their spare time, their charter is primarily to dedicate it to the community and to the stakeholders, and convert the stakeholders actually into the implementation of the ideas that generate on this thing.
True.
Preparedness is a key, and capacity building prepares a very important role in making communities, the state governments, and of course the district administrations prepared to face the disasters.
All right. I think that's really very well explained. And right now, people, we need to slip into a very short break, but don't go too far, as we are coming back very quickly and there's still a lot more on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching this special series that we are running on disaster management on Lok Sabha TV, and today's topic of discussion is capacity building, training and community involvement. And right now I have with me Dr. Satyendra again, and I would like to ask you, sir, that again the role of community I think is very important in managing a disaster like this, and especially in a vast country like ours. So the training that needs to be imparted, what are the points that you all really keep in mind before formulating those training programs?
For community capacity building for disaster risk reduction, there are 4 important things. One is that community know the risk, what risk they are having actually.
Correct.
Then they should know how to deal with these risks or the disasters. Then the third component that is very important is that they have some planning for disaster management, whether it may be disaster response, it may be after disaster rehabilitations or reconstructions. And the fourth most important point is that they know their duties. Each person of the community should know its duty, what to do before disasters, during disasters and after disaster management.
That's right.
So National Institute of Disaster Management and our partner organizations, they are basically emphasizing on these 4 points. We are developing tools that how to identify the risk, how to know about the risk, what type of risk is there, then how to deal with this risk, how to deal with the disasters, and after that planning. Planning is very important, whether it is village level planning, whether it is district level planning, whether it is national level planning. So all these plannings part we are developing tools. So and side by side we are imparting training also how to use these tools for effective disaster risk reductions.
Okay.
And as I told, that awareness is very, very important, because an aware society can deal better with disasters.
True. So once this, this policy making is done, all the planning has been done, how do you ensure the implementation at the ground level? That's what I would want to ask you.
Community.
See, that again put in 3 aspects. One is the why part of it, second is the how part of it, and third is the what part of it. The why part is, at the end of the day, the local resources should be utilized. There should be local ownership. Public should feel I'm part of the mission.
True.
Then public involvement should be there. And fourthly, public interest should be generated. They should also know why we are doing this. If you tell the children, supposing an earthquake happens, what do you do?
Right.
You attend to a big corporate audience, I ask the question, supposing there is a fire in this room, what will you do? Just think, this all will run away, or this will open the doors. I said, you are in for trouble. No, you make them aware, then the interest is generated. If you give examples, etc., that interest generation is very important, and that's how we put them in. The second part is how we do it, different mechanisms. Mr. Satyendra mentioned about the tools which we liberally utilize them. They have brought out excellent tools under the guidance of NDMA with the authority. Outstanding tools are there. Dissemination of the tools, that itself is an important mission. Then we do mock exercises, we do the exhibitions, we have a lot of equipments what we can do. Then we do seminars, conferences, workshops, question answer sessions. It makes a tremendous impact. The impact part, if you come to, I would say it's a involvement of the public, as I mentioned earlier, from the stakeholder approach to duty holder approach. Then the individual centric to community centric. The capacity building programs, the community takes ownership. You can find a sort of change and paradigm there, and each one becomes part of the mission. So we involve every person there, including the old man, the infirm, the weak, the woman, the child, the teacher, the school teacher, the headmaster. Everybody is part of the mission. Disasters of different types are there. It's not just earthquake and flood.
Correct.
Even a gas bursting in the kitchen itself can be a disaster, like what happened in Kerala. When truck was carrying one cylinder burst, an entire area caught fire, and so many cylinders started bursting inside here and there. So how communities should be prepared in such an eventuality? It can happen, just happen. It's a man-made. So man-made and natural, both we prepare ourselves, and I think the impact has been phenomenal across the country.
Right. Now, Mr. Duggal, we have seen that NDMA has gone all out, for its awareness campaigns, whether on the national level, state level or district level. So, the kind of results that you all were hoping for, have you reached there, or do you still think that a lot needs to be done?
Well, I think it's a very good question. Really, the states are the first responders to any disaster. That the union government is there to help in technical, in many cases financial, and in response mechanisms and things like that, capacity building. I would say mostly yes to your this thing. If you see the map of India, there are several areas which are kind of disaster prone.
Correct.
You have the zone 5 and 4 of which are in earthquake zone. Then you have the ones which have the cyclone, this thing, particularly the states of the Bay of Bengal.
Coastal areas.
The coastal areas, Bay of Bengal, particularly more vulnerable.
Right,
Say Odisha,
right.
Andhra are more vulnerable. West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. We have done a full vulnerable mapping. We know Assam will get flooded and Kosi will get flooded in Bihar and the like, and so on and so forth. So what happens is that the states which are more disaster prone, obviously their effort and their attention to such a preparedness, to such capacity development, both through their own resources and through the resources provided by the union, are a lot more than the states which are less prone historically. So this is the crucial factor which comes into play in the preparedness. But important it is to note that over the years, the general level of consciousness amongst the communities at large, through various things we do, various things states do, and all that kind of a thing, the government departments and the ministries is a lot higher than it was now. For example, before 2004, when we were struck by tsunami, people didn't even know what tsunami was.
Exactly.
Right? Now we have an early warning system, a highly scientific and technical early warning system already placed in the system. So the people who could be hurt or damaged, they get a few hours to kind of, and there are places earmarked. For cyclones, there are places earmarked. We are developing the mitigation, the structures or the shelters where they can go in this thing. So I would say the awareness at the national level is a lot higher, and the preparedness is also a lot more. But at the same time, I think we have, as I said, we are moving towards it to make the country most resilient, and I hope that we'll be achieving that goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Dr. Satyendra, when you are all making your training modules for awareness, now what is your deciding factor? Because do you make different modules for different public in different areas of the country, and how do you all go about deciding that, and who really formulates that? Who are the people you all include in that?
It is basically on training need assessment exercise is carried out. there are various stakeholders at various levels, central level, middle level and lower level. So, we carry out training need assessment. We go
Okay,
to the people
okay.
or we organize some seminars or conferences, brainstorming sessions where we know about the needs of the people. Then various surveys are also carried out, like some disaster is there. So, we send our team, they document the disasters, what type of events were there, what type of response was there, what lessons learned are there. So, every disaster is leaving a lesson to learn. So, based on these lessons, we and various group discussions and other exercises, we carry out the training need assessment, what type of training should be there for the people to capacitate at various levels.
So, are you happy with the results that you've been seeing all along now?
Yes, to some extent. To some extent it is, but it's still a target because we have a large country and big populations, various type of problems, natural as well as man-made. So, disasters are of different types and different natures. So, as our honorable member has said, awareness is there in the people and people now know that what
I think
risks
this
are
is
there and
something
how
that
to respond for the risk.
Exactly. Dr. Nair, I'm sure you'll have a lot to say on this one as to when you see the results, are those the expected results that you see, or you would want people to be more aware and more programs, such programs, and maybe down to the school level where children can also be taught as to how to take care of them in case of an emergency or eventuality.
They are taught.
Yeah, that's
program
what-
should go on, but I am very happy about the achievements. Now, you go to any school, walk into any school, children are well aware today. Today's generation is so good, they're very receptive. And incidentally, it's a capacity building program, not just a training session.
True, true.
You know, we focus on the knowledge, the skills, the attitudes, and resources. All four in one. So, it's actually capacity building. Tremendous impact has been made. As honorable member mentioned, I have seen the last 10 months time tremendous impact across the country in various walks of life, the awareness generation and the capacity building which has been created.
Right. But initially, did you find it a little difficult to reach across to the people, and now maybe things are a little easier, maybe because the media has also played its part in this, and also all your programs, all the three forces together, it's a comprehensive policies that you're all working
You're
on.
right. Media has played a role. Your TV is playing a role. Authority, after the authority came in, that's why it's a paradigm shift. The authority came in, and the impact is made by the authority itself. So therefore, I would say in the last few years' time, the impact on the ground has been phenomenal.
Great. So at the end, what would be your closing remarks, sir?
Well, I would say that as I am at the cost of repetition, the intention of the government and the authority is to make the nation disaster resilient. This part of the world is one of the most disaster prone parts, you know, the South Asia, Southeast Asia. India also is highly disaster prone. As I can rattle quite a few. I'm talking of natural disasters,
Right.
and I'm not even going into the other kind of man-made disasters and so on and so forth. So it is a good fortune if we don't face any disaster, such a disaster for a good long period of time. But not to be prepared to face it will be an utter failure.
Actually.
So we have to be always ready to meet any such eventuality. And I think, as has already been brought out by all of us, the government, the authority, the state governments, and all stakeholders, they having become conscious, because we have had several, you know, whether one is talking of the Bhuj earthquake or the earthquake in Kashmir or in Sikkim a year or so ago, or we are talking of the super cyclone of Odisha, or we are talking of the floods,
That's
you
right.
know, or the tsunami, as I mentioned, of 04. So we have been facing these very treacherous situations. So the nation is aware, and nation is awake to the whole thing.
That's right. Well, on that note, I would like to say thank you to all three of you for coming today and for trying to explain the preparedness, the capacity building that's really going on splendidly. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lottie.
Well, folks, I think the message again is very clear today that the NDMA along with the government is doing a fantastic job as far as awareness and implementation of these schemes really goes. Now, what you and I need to do is keep our faith and also be prepared for any eventuality, God forbid, if it comes. Instead of panicking, I think we all need to take action, the right action. So whenever there are training programs close to you, whenever there are mock drills, do try and spare some time and go for those and learn those tricks. For all you know, you may need it someday, and also for the others whom you can save. Well, that's all I have for you this evening. Do join me next week when we'll be discussing something else about, say, disaster management. Till then, this is Lottie Alaric saying goodbye and take very good care of yourselves.